everyone. My name is Youth Member Dr. Natalie Kajevu. Before we begin, let me start by following our Budaramari protocol. Welcome to the second edition of this podcast, which focuses on the ongoing developments in Nyazura. This includes the construction of the Holy Shrine Canopy and the Centenary Museum. If you didn't listen to our previous session with Holy Messenger Tali Adams, I encourage you to go and listen to it here on our website. Soldiers of God who are all blessed to be living during this time and having the opportunity to take part in the Nyazura projects. Today, we're going to learn about the origins of the current projects in Nyazura, their significance to us as Budaramari children, and also the impact they will have to the world at large. Holy ones, please welcome the Chief Coordinator, Evangelist Dr. Zivave. He is going to give us more insights of the ongoing developments in Nyazura. Evangelist Dr. Zivave, we're honored to have you here today, and we're excited and look forward to having a very insightful session with you.
Thank you very much, Youth Member Dr. Natalie Kajevu. It is a pleasure and an honor to be joining, and I want to say good day to all viewers and listeners, and look forward to an interesting discussion about the projects that are happening at the moment at the source. Thank you.
Just to open the interview, I would like to start by asking what the Budaramari Museum project means to you personally and how you feel about the progress towards fulfilling the standing order to develop Nyazura.
It's actually an honor. I'm humbled by being in this position and seeing some of those things that God mentioned, that there will be great works happening at the source, and living through that standing order and being part of those making it a reality. It is a great honor, and it is something that I take very, very seriously. There are a lot of things that come with honor, and it is important that the work is, particularly this holy work, is tended to and given the utmost time and a focus so that we realize the goals that we have set ourselves and what God set for us. Thank you.
That's an in-depth explanation, and already enriching our knowledge that now we know that God said great works will be done in Nyazura. Mm-hmm. And may you share the origins of the ongoing Nyazura projects, and also if you could tell us more about how everything started.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there are several projects that are going on at the source, but I'm particularly going to focus on the museum and also touch on the canopy. As you will be aware, some of us, that when we look at the source, there are a number of things. And by the way, let me begin by explaining what Nyazura means to us, particularly to me and to the religion. Nyazura is the spiritual source of Budaramari. This was pronounced by God. I heard it myself that this is the source, and this is where, of course, Gamba, Maila Zatayali, is interred. The person who, when they were praying, God revealed himself to man. I think it's very, very important that we realize that, again, not only that, then you realize that the host is also laid there. And therefore, work began to actually this shrine way back. And I'm sure most of us would have known that wherever is particularly this very important source needs to be looked after. We need to, because I know some people track back to where Jesus was born and all that. But we know where the host of God is. And, so the work started around 2004, where we put some, if you go there, the shrine, it's magnificent. The type of brick that was used, the Makoro brick, we want to call it, and all the tombstones that are laid out there. That was work that started in 2004. Fast forward, now we realize that just to improve the aesthetics and also for members, because members get to Nyazura and they want to see, to view, to all that. And they want a moment of silence. And to do that, we designed a state-of-the-art shrine where people would be able to access the shrine and also, like I said, improve the aesthetics of the place.
Yeah.
This is very important. This work is progressing very, very well. And I'm super excited that we are going to surely try and make sure that this work is completed before end of 2025. That is phase one. We come to the museum. The museum, again, I would say, how did the museum come about? How did it start? This is how it happened and unfolded. The idea of the museum is not a new concept in Gutaramari, or it was brought by whoever, but Evangelist tells me that the host also, it was something that was presented and it was given the green light to build a museum, to keep the history, to make sure that all those important things are looked after for generations to come. So it was okayed then. But fast forward now to 2019, Vangeri Tahali and Mtuma Tahali, Holy Messenger Tahali, came to Australia. And in one of our tours, and as we were talking, we looked at what else could we do to make sure that, this idea of spreading the works of God to the nation, to the world, how could we do that? And we visited some of the museums around here and so forth. So in 2000, we all agreed that let's do something for the birthday. We are marking 100 years, a century for that matter, of the host. And the idea was to raise 100,000 for 100 years. And after we pronounced that, we said 100,000 for 100 years. And people were rushing, putting money away, trying to say, yes, how do we do this birthday gift? And when we then sat and said, okay, we will get 100,000, but what are we going to use it for? And this is where that idea that we've been talking about, that concept of the museum came through Holy Messengers. Zivave said, oh, we talked about something like this. Let's put our money into the museum. And that, again, was the birth of that's why it's called the Gutaramari Centenary Museum. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for this detailed explanation and insightful explanation as well. It's really interesting to know how everything started. And maybe to go more in detail, could you tell us how Nyazura was selected as the place to build the Centenary Museum?
There are protocols to be followed. So we followed the protocols. The Supreme Council was approached and the host family was approached. And the host family then, yes, as I say, because again, looking at that, the all the most important, the vital history of Gutaramari is all at the source. And therefore, it was no brainer to choose the source to build the museum there. Again, for religious tourism, again, looking at if someone was to want to know about Gutaramari, and therefore a museum next to that would then give you a full picture of what went on and what is going on in Gutaramari. Because it's as we keep uploading files and improving things as we go.
Vangeli, could you actually give us more detail about the significance of building the Centenary Museum and what purpose it will serve?
The most important thing is in Gutaramari, it is important for people to realize that whatever we are talking about, it's something that has happened to someone like you and me. Yeah. And for people to believe, they want some evidence. They want to know, to see, to feel, and it's important. And again, if all that we know about Gutaramari, we don't share it, or we share it with others, the information would get distorted as it goes out there. So it's important to record that information so that when you go to that source, you know that this information. Where else would you find information about the religion? Because most of us, of course, most would travel whenever they had opportunity, but we couldn't be everywhere where God visited. And therefore, this is putting all that information together for easy access, again, for our future, all those members that are going to join Gutaramari, they will all want to know how it began. And this is the best way of putting that information together. And the museum is going to fulfill that gap and fulfill that role where information is put at a central source, and you can. And by the way, this is not just going to be a museum about only Gutaramari. It will also look at, there will be some galleries about other religions and how Gutaramari compares to all these other religions. So it's something that is unique, out of this world, embracing other forms of religion, but of course with the focus of how Gutaramari has changed. And for sure, when we say, some people don't believe that when we say that God spoke amongst us, and the things that God mentioned or said to us, and we can now see them happening, being those standing orders, coming to fruition. And you can actually see what God said. And those are very, very important things that need to be documented so that people will know and will understand the Gutaramari religion.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, from what you've been saying, Vangeli, we want to preserve the Gutaramari history by building the museum, and we will be documenting everything. I really can't wait to see the museum when everything has been completed. And as we are talking about the Gutaramari history, may you please explain a little bit further the importance of preserving the Gutaramari history and how it will inspire future generations of Gutaramari?
Thank you for that question. In terms of preserving the Gutaramari religious history, I can't stress enough that God heals people in many, many ways. This is another form of where people can actually come as they are reading through, as they're going through the museum and activities at the museum, they can receive healing. God heals in many, many ways. And this is, again, for those who are not members and those who are members who have something that they so desire, and knowing that the source, and when you go there and you go through what God has done to other people, You also learn, and it's important, very, very important, that information, those utensils that God used, people will want to know what sort of bed, for example, was used. What sort of utensils were used? What sort of uniform, or how was the day-to-day living like? We are going to document. We have children of the host family, so we're going to document all that, and you will find it all in the museum. So that rich history of Gutaramari is very, very important for those who are in the religion and all those who are interested in knowing about our religion. As you know, there are other religions out there that have existed for thousands of years, whereas Gutaramari is just a young religion which is just coming up, and people would want to know more about this religion. And there's no other place, other form of educating them or teaching them about Gutaramari than the museum.
Yes, that's so very true. And I'm sure that everyone listening is getting inspired to take part in this beautiful project and all the projects that are happening in Nyasura, of course. And we are aware that these projects are big projects and they require many people to take part and lots of teamwork. May you share with us the different committees that are involved in the Nyasura projects, and also if you could give a summary of the roles that the different committees play?
Thank you very much for that, Natalie. We have about 19 committees. And of those 19 committees, I will start by probably sharing the top and then maybe work our way down. We have got our host family and Supreme Council. Of course, as I said, we consult, getting directions and all that, and they do the approvals, make sure that everything is in line, and that's a very, very important. Then we do have a team of coordinators. We have coordinators, coordinator Kilibemang in Botswana. We have coordinator Evangelist Makawa, who is in Harare. We have Holy Messenger Taali. We have Holy Messenger Zivave, and our chief coordinator, myself. And that team sits to look at, as the word says, we coordinate the various teams that are working on the projects. For example, Evangelist Makawa is in the construction, oversees that area. And he has a construction background, he himself, and therefore he works with the team that is doing construction and support them in whatever they would want. And we also do have other skill sets in the coordinators level. Then we have, of course, the finance team. We really can do nothing apart from the finance supporting us in doing that. The finance itself is led by a team, of course, and the Ndoros have got their chartered accountants themselves, so they really know running finances as far as that is concerned. We have our engineering team that brought this whole thing together in terms of drawing and all that. And it's led by none other than our engineer, Maduke, who is, of course, working in the Arab world, but, of course, is overseeing the projects as the person knowledgeable in terms of engineering and giving us directions and so forth. We also have the design team. The design team, this is led by Evangelist Leah. So we didn't just go in and say we are now drawing and all that. No, Evangelist Leah went out and did a lot of research with his team. And I'm sure Dr. Natalie Kejev, you were part of this design team as well. So you went out, looked out for all those various forms. So look, this is not a single person's project. It is our project. Everyone is being called for their skill to come in and support. So we have that design committee that looks after that. Yes, we have security team because we need things to be secure, to be looked after. We have an environmental team led by Dr. Bitang, and that team looks after making sure that we are looking after the environment and all the requirements to do with EMA and all that are met. And therefore, that is an area that runs very well. We have a information and publicity committee led by Holy Messenger Kinosi, and that disseminates all information about the museum. Then we've got our public relations, where Ambassador Maduke is the head. And what she does there is that whenever we are communicating with other bodies outside of Mutaramwari, she is our representative there and does all that. And as you know, or maybe aware, that we are making sure that we are being registered with the national museums in Zimbabwe. So we will be more like an international museum as well. So Ambassador Maduke is heading that section there. We also have an audit team that does look at our books and make sure that it helps us with making sure our processes and financial management is going according to plan. So they do offer us and involve us and inform us of whatever that needs to be done. Then we've got, of course, the building team that is on the ground, and they are doing a marvelous job. And I'm sure people are excited about what they can, what's happening there in terms of the building and the quality of that work. It's very, very important that we all rally behind and support these teams. Mainly what I would want also to bring here is that we are also asking, particularly this year, 2025, we are looking for more skills to join our teams. And so if you have got a skill set that you know, or you're interested in serving in any of these committees, please, please, please get in touch with us so we can show you and direct you in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mbangeni, for telling us about all these committees you have had. I'm sure the audience has heard that we have 19 committees. People are bringing in their different skills, their expertise, and they're taking part in the projects that are going on in Nyazura. And we are inclusive. Anybody interested can come and take part in this project. Vangeli, maybe could you tell us more about what your role as chief coordinator of the projects in Nyazura, what your role requires?
Thank you very, very much for that. I've just mentioned about 19 committees. And when you talk of 19 committees, there needs to be some coordination of some sort to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. And to do that, the job is mainly to see, and I must hasten to say that one of the committees that was just ringing in my mind, which is doing a great job, is the cyber committee, cyberspace. So because everything now happens on the computers, on these digital platforms and all that, so that team also gives us a great eye, making sure that things are safe and secure for us online as well. And so nearly every single day, I receive information from these various heads of committees, informing us about what they would want to see happen tomorrow, resources they require. They will be communicating, giving us reports of how far they have gone. Of course, one of those good teams is the curation led by another curator, Mugabe, in Botswana. And so the curation will be looking, they're already putting things together as we speak.
Yes.
and preparing for this day when we are going to open we wouldn't run a museum without the curation team. So they are already there. So if you've got any equipment that you think, or something, testimony, whatever it is you think may find a space in the museum, please get in touch with them. They are waiting and already collecting resources as we speak about what they are going to put in the museum. So we receive those. We make decisions on some of the things. For example, the museum itself, we had to then approach, after the host family had given us the permission to build it at the source. We then had to approach council and to facilitate all that. The coordinators are making sure that the finance and all the other organs of the committees of the museum team are well lubricated or oiled so that they keep moving. We don't want anything to hold them. So we are so busy looking after and making those decisions, supporting, looking for the resources, for money to buy equipment. We are asking people not only to donate money, but also you could go out there and buy cement and send it down there. So we are appealing, as you know, Gutaramari, we do not have any other forms of income except from members, and we do not stipulate what each member can contribute. It is up to the members to find out whatever they would want to contribute. So we give it to these members, particularly when you look at how much we have raised this year. The past year in 2024, it just brings joy to see us all coming together to do such a great job.
Yeah, that's amazing. It shows that your role requires lots of dedication. You and the other coordinators play a huge role to make sure that we are working together smoothly, and you also sacrifice your time to carry out God's work. And
whilst you are on that, there again, when you look at, like I said, it's a big team that we work with. For example, our marketing and publicity marketing team, led by preacher Chakanza, goes out and produces high quality materials that we distribute either on social media and so forth. So it's important that we make sure that these things are available for all. So if you are missing anything and you haven't had some of these things come to you, check with the information publicity and our marketing team. It's doing wonders. It's designing things that we use in advertising for the museum.
Yes, sounds like many teams come together and they are joining hands to make sure that all the projects are going to be completed successfully. Mm-hmm. And if I could come back to your role as chief coordinator again, could you tell us what has been your most significant highlight in this role so far?
Thank you very much. But it looks like every day is a highlight to me. But something that really sticks out there is, there are two, maybe I can't just jump these ones. First was the groundbreaking. I'm sure it was a resounding success. It was something out of this world, something I had never seen and I never imagined. Mm-hmm. It turned out to be, just before then, you see the power of God and how we believe, just before then, there were weather forecasts that it was going to be, the weather wasn't going to be favorable for something or for even people to come together. But we prayed because Some of us had traveled all the way from Australia, others had traveled all the way from the United Kingdom and all over the world, and all from South Africa, from Botswana. Everyone was on their way. And we prayed and said, God, we would want to conduct this activity in peace. And this is what happened. A day before, we were listening on news and everywhere, and they were saying, particularly in that region coming into Centenary and all that, that there was going to be some heavy rains and all this. And we prayed. It turned out we had that peaceful, eventful, it was just one of those remarkable achievements that we did as a congregation. Then fast forward, one of those things when we received trucks to help with the construction of the museum. We were busy thinking that, if one of our branches in the United Kingdom could buy a tipper truck or something so that we could take it down to ease on transport. But members in the congregation, they just came forward and said, here, trucks. Imagine. And that was one of the highlights in my life. Thank you.
Mm. Wow. First of all, I'm really amazed by the explanation you gave that just before the groundbreaking ceremony, there had been highlights that it will rain. And then after congregants prayed and asked for good weather, then God made it possible, just showing us how much power there is in Kutaramari. And I surely missed out on the groundbreaking ceremony, and hopefully I'll be able to attend maybe one of the ceremonies that will be there in the future. And also it's really amazing how everybody comes together and maybe gives money or whatever they have to take part in the construction of the projects, the Holy Shrine Canopy and the Centenary Museum. And these are surely big projects that require lots of funding. Could you maybe tell us, Mvangeli, how funds are currently being raised for the developments in Nyazura, and what message of encouragement you could share with the Kutaramari congregation?
Thank you. As alluded to earlier on, we do not have any investments. I know, as I've said, other religions that have existed for centuries now do have some investments. We only can gather, or whatever it comes our way, is from the members' contributions. And so Kutaramari membership, after being healed, after receiving whatever God has delivered to them, we encourage them to give back to make this work progress. And therefore, it is contributions from people. We also get contributions from fundraising team. This is another team I was mentioning as well that does wonders. In this fundraising team led by Evangelist Gwenya, who is our chairperson for Kutaramari, they do wonders. They run fundraising, bake sales, cake sales, cooking competitions, global heritage programs, musical programs, events where they're raising funds. And all I'm saying to members is, please support them. Please support them. $1 will go a long way. If we have 99 cents and you bring a cent, we then go into $1. We cannot have $1 if we have 99 cents. So whatever it is that you have got, don't look down upon whatever you have God has given you. go and give it. Please donate it to the projects that are currently happening. We need a lot of sacrifice. We need a lot of resources, as you have mentioned. Initially, when we started, as I said, we thought 100,000 will make some headway.
Yeah.
Not anyone dreamt of what the engineers came up with, what you, the designers, came up with, and what was then put on the ground by the engineers. And whilst we all said, oh, this is it, but we said, God says we're the university of life. Where else would you find anything apart from the university of life? So this is one of those features, and it takes the African tradition, as God has come to, advance our African tradition. And you will be so excited to see how this whole building shapes out. And like I said, and like you said, we can't wait for it to be completed. It has got 3 phases. So right now we are on phase 1, which will have a gallery and some restaurants and some amenities. Then we have phase 2 and phase 3. And I'm hoping that phase 1 will be unveiled very, very, very soon. I can't put a time frame at the moment, but I know that work is progressing very, very well. But with the canopy, we really, really want to close phase 1 this year so that we move into phase 2 after finishing phase 1 of the museum.
Oh, that's really interesting. And as you're talking, I can actually picture both projects being completed. Maybe could you tell us a little bit more about the timelines? You highlighted them just before when you were explaining about the funding, how we're getting the sources of funding, but maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the timeline for completing both the projects.
Thank you very much. What is happening is that, as I said, we have broken this project into phases so that at least one section could start to operate whilst we are working on the other, rather than wait until we finish the whole project to be able to operationalize it. And again, we're looking at the resources that are available to us. And as we progress in the work, God continues to shower blessings on us all. And therefore, the more we receive, the more we get, the more we are also able to donate to make sure that this work continues. And so with the canopy, as I said, the work for the Holy Shrine started in 2004. We then want to put the canopy. We are looking at 2025 to have finished the first phase. Now, this is what the first phase entails. It entails just making sure there's the shed and the ramp. People are able to walk in and observe and pay their respects and do whatever they want to do, any form of something that may be healing them.
Yeah.
Then we move to the second phase, where now there are some aesthetics that we want to put on the outside that makes it, when you are out there, to say, wow, what is that? That's some phase 2 that will come with all that in making sure the aeration and all the other things that we require in there are attended to. Now, we want phase 1 of the canopy to be finished in 2025. This is what it entails. We have done all the columns. We are now working on the ramp. We have done all the coverings. The Makoro bricks were delivered from Botswana. Again, people coming together very quickly, putting those resources together, and the Makoro bricks being able to be delivered. Then we are also having the roof. The roof, we are having the structure designed in China and prefabricated there. Okay, and all we are going to do is ship it to Zimbabwe and then put it on. So these are the resources now we are after. In the shortest possible time to come, we should be able to put a ballpark figure of how much from the quotations. And of course, we want our leadership to visit the site where these things are going to be manufactured and make sure that everything goes according to plan. And so this is going to happen in the first quarter of the year. Second quarter, we want to have completed paying for that and the materials on their way to Zimbabwe to reach us in the second half of the year so that we start putting them together and we are ready for official unveiling of phase 1 in 2025 December. Make sure that you are checking the weather. Start making arrangements to travel to be in Zimbabwe in December of 2025 for this very important, momentous occasion. Now come to the museum. With phase 1, we are tracking very, very well. But what we are looking at is maybe another year to complete phase 1, which is towards the end of 2026. It's something that we are looking up to. And once we put phase 1 in place, the other teams, the curation and all that can start coming and doing some other things there. And whilst we move on to phase 2. Thank you.
Thank you for telling us about the different phases that have to happen as we complete the different projects, the Holy Shrine canopy construction and also the construction of the Centenary Museum. Vangeli, earlier you mentioned that the museum will be recognized internationally. Maybe if you could tell us more about how you envision the GRM Museum evolving or expanding in the years ahead.
The museum is going to be internationally recognized, as I said, because it's going to be registered through our government, the government of Zimbabwe, and it's one of those religious tourist attractions that we are setting up in Nyazura, in Gurure, to be specific, Pambawashe village. And as I've said earlier on, that we applied for that land from council and we're given title deeds for that land. And it is up to anyone, not only Gutaramari members, but anyone to come and witness and see how God changed this world. There's so many pronouncements that we are now able to see, and teachings that have helped us to be who we are. And therefore, it's very, very important. Now, moving forward, how is it evolving? As I said, we do have our cyber team. We will have more like international people can book from here that they're coming to view, to see the museum or visit the museum. There's, again, other forms of production that we are going to be putting in place there. One of those things is we are looking at even manufacturing our own Gutaramari attire there. So it becomes uniform. Yes, at the moment it's uniform, but every tailor, sews it in a slightly different way. But when it is being manufactured at one place and everyone knows they can just walk in and order their sizes and all that, and this the fabric that is acceptable. All those things are some of the things. We are also going to have some, souvenirs, things that we are going to take away with us. So if you are in the business of making souvenirs, please get in touch with us. We would want you to start looking at exploring at how you could make souvenirs for us, like key rings, whatever you mention, whatever you can think of, postcards, whatever, anything, any souvenir, fridge magnets, and all those. Those are the things that we would want, again, to find at the source or at the museum when we get or we visit the museum. There are also other projects that are going to, of course, augment the museum. Facilities that when people come, they will need these amenities like hotels where to put up for the night instead of people driving or at night, or if they want to spend a few days there, we are going to put something in like that in place. We have also got the grand plan. We have even a police post there for security and all these. There's so many things that are coming up in that will help also not only Gutaramari but the local villagers in making sure that they also have a livelihood, because there will be, all this will create some jobs for them to be able to take up those jobs.
Thank you, Mvangeli, for taking us on a journey to the future. And now we can clearly see how amazing everything is going to look when both the museum and the Holy Shrine canopy have been completed. You mentioned that there will be like services for making uniforms, and also you have mentioned that there could be maybe some accommodation services close by. Will there be additional developments that we can expect to see in Nyasura when both the Holy Shrine canopy and the museum have been completed?
Right now, there are plans underway where like I said, it's all hinges on resources. Yes, as I've said, hotels will mushroom up there. And it's some things that we are looking into. We even muted the idea of, we want an airspace somewhere where we can probably land our aircraft or helicopter, could be helicopter, helipad, or an actual runway for some light aircrafts to visit. There's so many projects that are on paper at the moment, but the most important is to make sure the museum comes up with the quality that we want, and that people, we generate that excitement, and people can actually, I've lived my life in Gutaramari, and therefore I don't doubt in my mind that whoever visits that site will see a change in their lives. And when people start to realize all that, the more we have more pilgrimages going, running at the source, and the more people get to come and congregate and receive salvation. And this is the idea, and this is the aim, the objective of Gutaramari, to spread salvation, to make people aware, remove people from afflictions. And this is what we are here for, and make our lives better. And God has made and proclaimed that He will make sure that our lives are improved, and we can see and we can witness this happening in most people's lives.
Thank you so much, Mvangeli, for taking us again to the future. I'm looking forward to see all that happening, and I'm sure it will happen with time. And since we just entered the new year as Chief Coordinator, what would you like to see achieved in 2025? And what inspirational message would you like to tell us as we start the new year?
There is nothing that comes without sacrifice. We do sacrifice for a lot of things. And this year, I want every member to find something that they are going to sacrifice. for the development of the Holy Shrine, of the museum, and overall Guta ra Mwari as a whole. It is important, it is incumbent on us that we make this work core. I can't do it by myself. You can't do it by yourself. We have to do it together. I want 2025 to supersede all other years. That we have raised quite a lot since we started in 2020. 4 June 2020, that's when this idea was birthed, to build a museum, to raise money to build a museum. And when you look at 4 June 2025, it marks 5 years of us putting resources together and starting the project. Now that we have started, there's nothing that should stop us. Make it your goal that you put in more than, if all of us put in more than we put in last year, it means we can only do well in terms of completing the projects that we have. Pray that God opens things for you and resources so you can also take your part in building this. Do something that your future self will be proud of, to say, I am part of those who helped with the construction of the museum. So do something today that your future self will be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the lovely words of encouragement, Mvangeli. And I would like to also thank you, Evangelist Dr. Zivave, for setting out time to share all this information with us. We know you have a busy schedule. You are the chief coordinator of the projects going on in Nyazura, but you sacrificed some time to come and share all this information with us and also to enrich us spiritually. And we are really grateful for that. I have learned so much today, and I'm sure the audience has learned a lot as well, and that this session has clarified many questions that we had with regards to the Nyazura projects. The key takeaways from today, from what Mvangeli was telling us, is that we need to, as we start the new year, we need to sacrifice our resources, sacrifice our time, and take part of be part of the projects that are going on in Nyazura. The projects in Nyazura are our projects. We need to own the projects. They are not projects that need to be done by one person or just a small group of people. As we have mentioned earlier on, they are big projects that will require us to come together and work together and be united and have faith that everything is going to we are going to complete the projects. And most importantly, we learned, we were enriched spiritually. And now we know that God declared that great works are going to be done there in Nyazura, and we are seeing it now. And also all the projects, the Holy Shrine Canopy, and also the museum are going to enrich the world about the power that we have in Guta ra Mwari. And finally, as Mvangeli mentioned earlier on, feel free to reach out if you want to take part in any way so that you can be part of the great works that have been done in Nyazura. And with that, I would like to say, please stay tuned for our next session, which will be coming in the next few weeks. Lani.
Thank you very much for having me, and it is always a pleasure. And good day, listeners. Bye.
Lani, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.